in applied linguistics with TESOL. At the moment, she is teaching teachers and students in Kosovo on the topic teaching communication skills and critical thinking through games and storytelling. So just because this course is online, I guess she has lots of online resources she would be willing to share with us. She will speak about storytelling. And as far as I know, she believes that communication and critical thinking can be also taught through storytelling. So she will share some activities we can use with our students, will show us how we can use storytelling through different online tools and resources. So thank you, Rina, for accepting the invitation. Now the floor is yours and you can proceed.
Thank you, Rina. Thank you very much. Thank you, Meta, for having me. And I am looking forward to meeting all the other teachers and students as well, if there are any in the course in the summer school. Thank you all for joining today. I know that this is the last session that we have for this summer school, and I hope that it will be productive and that you will learn more about storytelling. So as Rina said, my name is Rina Krasniqi from Kosovo. I have been a teacher for 3 years and I have majored in applied linguistics with TESOL. I have been training teachers in storytelling and games, using them in the classroom. However, because of the circumstances, the pandemic and all, we had to move our sessions online. So I have had the opportunity of, let's say, researching myself for some useful online resources that I have already used with my students and that I would like to share with you as well. So I will be starting to share my screen now, so please let me know if you can see.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, great. Okay, so for today, this is the agenda. This is what we will be doing. We are going to discuss, so it's sort of a discussion, but we will also have some activities by the end. We will be discussing on what is storytelling, why should we use it in our classrooms, and how to choose how to tell a story, and also what activities and what skills we can teach while storytelling, while using storytelling in the classroom. And of course, some sources and resources that you can use with your students. Of course, also some activities that you can use. So before I share a definition about storytelling, I would like to hear from you. What do you think storytelling is? I think it's simple because of the term. I mean, the word itself speaks on its own. So I would like to hear it from you, though. What is storytelling?
Some kind of narration.
Okay, yes, very good.
A way of rendering something.
Rendering the content of a story, of something.
Relating or telling a story.
Okay, very good. Okay, so I think basically you wrapped it up. So thank you for sharing your comments and opinions. So storytelling is using facts and narratives in order to transmit a message or to communicate something to an audience. Some stories use only facts, so real events, real facts. And some may also add some details to make it more dramatic or to embellish it in order to transmit the message better. So think and answer. Why should we use storytelling in the classroom? Why do you think it is beneficial and useful to our students and to you as teachers as well? Why do you think we should use storytelling? I believe that, let's say, it involves all the skills, the necessary skills for our students, but I would also like to hear your opinions on it. So why do you think it's useful to use it in the classroom?
I think that using storytelling, we can develop all aspects of the language, including listening comprehension, grammar skills, writing skills, reading skills, speaking skills, and besides developing the creativity, imagination, and collaboration with students.
Thank you very much, Rina. Yes, I agree with you. And I also have to, let's say, restate what you just said, because you basically mentioned all the aspects that you can, let's say, enhance or develop through storytelling. So it reinforces language. It stimulates senses, intonation, and sounds. It helps students develop listening skills. It is engaging because there is a repetition, especially in my classes. I try to use stories that have, let's say, repetitive sounds or words in order to make it more memorable for my students. So, and also it's fun and theatrical. I have seen my students really, let's say, asking me to go back and to tell the story once more or even twice, because they enjoy it and they love the mimics and they love the body language and the sounds. So they find it really interesting and also fun. How to choose which stories to tell to your students. I believe that it's not very complicated. However, you should keep some things in mind while choosing a story. First of all, in Kosovo, we have a planned curriculum and syllabus from the Ministry of Education, so we have to follow it, especially in public schools. And we have books that we have to follow during the academic year. So choosing the topic is not really, let's say, an opportunity for us because we already have it planned for us. So the topic is already given to us. We have to think of the plot. This is where I focus my attention to mostly, because I don't like to choose plots that are very complicated. I choose because of my students and because they are young learners, so we don't want complex and complicated plots. We have to pick, let's say, simpler plots for our students, simpler events, and not too many characters. I do not like it when there are, let's say, more than 3 characters in the story, because it makes it harder for my students to follow me and to, let's say, grab their attention during the storytelling process. And of course, resources. As teachers, sometimes it's hard to have access to different resources, to different printouts, or let's say objects that we can use during storytelling. That's why I try to keep it simple. I will show you later what I use with my students to do storytelling, and I usually choose those characters, and of course I try to pick something that is accessible to me. So I do not I do not search a lot for resources, because sometimes it's hard and it takes a lot of time. So I try to pick simpler things. And my students are already familiar with the characters and the resources that I use. So it's like a process to them as well, because they already know what is going to happen or what who will be included in the story. Okay, so telling a story. I believe that the process is easy once you start storytelling. First and foremost, I think it's important to do like a distinction between storytelling and story reading. Telling a story is a process where you have to memorize the words, and story reading is basically you get a book and then you go page by page and read it to your students. with, of course, using different sounds, different tones of voice, etc. However, when you tell a story, you have to memorize the words. And sometimes, because it's hard memorizing, I try to improvise. So whenever I have words that I cannot remember while I'm storytelling, I try to improvise and I add my own words and my own events to it. And last but not least, I think that during the process, it's very important that you move around. As teachers, especially, I'm talking about my own country. I don't know about where you teach, but we have a seating arrangement either in groups or in rows. So it's harder for me to like get my students into a circle and stuff because we don't have a classroom that is our own. So we change classrooms during the day. And moving around, I think it has, for me at least, it has proven to be very, very useful because it's easier to get the attention of my students and also for them to follow me around the classroom because I like to make everybody feel included, like to create an inclusive environment. And I believe that by moving around the classroom, it helps. It helps me and it helps my students as well. Okay, so my next question to you is, what do you think we can teach through storytelling? What kind of skills or what kind of activities could you use with storytelling? If you need a minute or two, you can use it.
I can read the chat for you. Life skills, values, critical thinking, behavior, morals, moral value, creativity, critical thinking, empathy, life experiences, cultural values.
Exactly. Yes, I think that you have mentioned most of them. So I will just go briefly through the skills that you can teach. So first, it's vocabulary. So you can teach vocabulary with storytelling. What you can do is choose a story that has lexical sets or rhyming sets. I also like to do color sets. So group words like objects in colors and teach colors through storytelling, or also grammatical sets. So for example, adjectives, verbs, pronouns, etc. You can also have grammar. I have taught especially past simple tense with storytelling. I do this by currently repeating grammatical structure, and then I also write them on the whiteboard. Um, while I am storytelling, so it's easier for them to follow me, for my students, and I repeat them because I believe that by repeating them and rather than giving them like a structure or a definition, I think that repetition makes it easier for them to remember it. You can also teach listening. So one thing that I like to do with listening is just a simple question. So what do you think will happen next during storytelling? So students have to predict. You can also have them to guess the meaning from context of different words. You can have them listen and repeat new words, for example, or listen and draw and perform actions when it comes to different events. When it comes to speaking, you can also do look, listen, and repeat. So your students have to look at you doing something, performing an action or role playing with another student. They listen and then they repeat what you are doing. You can also have students role play. So I will teach you, or I will show you actually how I do this with my students. You can also use rhymes and rhythms and have your students retell the story. I have had my students doing the last one, so they love retelling the story, even though they do not remember the words, all the words of the story. However, they improvise. As I already said, that it's a process that is pretty easy. They love improvising, and they, let's say, create their own story during our classes. You can also teach pronunciation, so you can focus on individual sounds or in words or how, let's say, words are pronounced, and also you can focus on stress and rhythm. Last but not least, we have reading. So what I like to do in order to enhance reading is to give students scrambled sentences. For example, we had a story on body parts that I will also show it to you later. So we had body parts, and then I gave them scrambled sentences in a worksheet that they had to arrange. And then I would ask a question like, what can you do with your arms, or something, or give three or four, let's say, reasons why moving or walking is useful or beneficial to you. And you can also do reading aloud. My students love reading, so whenever I have them let's say, classes on reading, they love like to volunteer and stuff, so they find it very attractive as an activity. Okay, so I don't know if you can see. Yes, so these are the characters that I use with my students, and I usually give them let's say, names. So I will give you tips on how to become a better storyteller. But first, let me introduce you to my characters. So I think that, yes. So my name is Matt, and I'm a cat. My name is Log, and I'm a frog. My name is Lani, and I'm a bunny. We have the twins. So, yes. Our names are Yet and Not, and we are parrots. My name is Puck, and I'm a dog. And this is Bunky. So my name is Bunky, and I'm a monkey. These are the characters that I mentioned. These are the characters that I use with my students. They are pretty easy to remember. They are pretty, let's say, attractive to my students. They are already familiar with them because I like to introduce them from the very first class, because I use storytelling a lot. And these are characters that my students already love. What I like to do, as it is stated here, you have to use characters that your students love. You can add dramatic details. So, for example, the parrots like hanging on, they like hanging on, can you guys hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. They love hanging on trees and talking about people. Matt loves going around stealing other people's food in their houses because he's always hungry. So I take their animals, their favorite animals, and I just add something like details and stuff to them. Pug loves to go through books, especially in libraries, because he loves their smell. And they always remember the characters that I use. If not the details, they love the names, and they also remember the names of animals as well. You can also use wordless stories. I do this a lot, and we will do an activity on wordless stories today together. You can use your students as storytellers. So usually when I'm in the classroom, what I like to do is I just give one character to a student, and then I become the other. We put it here in our faces, and then we start. So what we usually do is I like to start the conversation because I feel like sometimes my students are reluctant to speak. So I just go around the class and I just ask them, for example, if they are Pug, then I just go, oh, Pug, how was your day? Did you visit any library today? Any libraries today? And they would go like, yes, I love the smell of books, etc., etc. So we improvise and we create our own stories. However, I try to use language a lot with my students because sometimes they hesitate to speak, and I know that when I ask them, they can like think harder and find words to speak and to like share their opinion. So I try to like make them comfortable in the classroom. And of course, I use the same story cards or the same characters for every class because they are, as I said, already familiar with them. I do not like to change it because it might confuse them and may not like get their attention as fast as these characters. Okay, so these are some online resources that I usually use, especially now with our online classes. I believe that Meta will share the presentation with you, so you can also find the resources in the PowerPoint later. And we will be using some of these today. Okay, so before we begin, I would like to share. Okay, so this is Story Jumper. In order, you can also, I think you can also use it without logging in. Story Jumper is one of the resources that I have used with my students. You just go on storyjumper.com, then you click on library, and then you can also search here for books, or you can also find a book that you may find it interesting. So you go through the books. As I said, I used it with body parts. Let me just tell you how it works. Okay, so you just click on one. Some have text added to it. Some may just have words or just pictures. But once you go through it, you can also check it out for yourself. So for example, this is just, let's say, a picture and words. So you can improvise your own story. You can create your own story and then teach it. I would also like to share with you, let me just stop sharing this. This is, if you have smartphones, I have used it on an iPhone. However, I'm not sure if it works for Android as well. This is, can you guys see? Maybe,
no.
maybe if I change my background to none.
Try it.
Okay, the app is called Toontastic. I will also type it on the chat box for you. Let me just, okay, Toontastic. This is the name of the app. So you just open it. I know that it's not pretty visible. You can just see my white screen, right? Okay, now it's better. So this is how it works. This is how it looks. So you just, I'm lost now. Okay. You just click on it. Okay. So you can create a short story which has 3 parts. You can create a story with 5 parts, and you can also do a science report. I will just click on short story because I just want to show you how you can work with it. Okay, so the short story has 3 parts. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Okay, so this is the beginning. It gives you the opportunity of choosing a setting. So you just choose a setting, whichever you like. I just clicked on one and it's free, so this is why I love it. And after you choose the setting, you can also use or find different characters. The characters are here. I'm sorry that you cannot see pretty well. Okay, so you just choose one character. Okay, or 2 or 3, how many characters that you want. I am trying to, I think it is already the speaker view because the other option is gallery view. So, okay. And then what you can do is you press start. Okay. And then it gives you the option of recording. So up, yes, here in the center, you have the option of recording. So you can record your own voice and then let's say create an event. This is the beginning. Then you create a middle part of the story, and then you also add the last part, so the ending. And then after you do this, you can save it and share it with your students. I hope you had the opportunity of understanding how it goes because it was harder for me because of the screen. I have used it with my students. They love it because it includes technology and they are fans of technology. And I thought that I should share it with you as well, since it's free and you can also use it for your own classes. Okay, so now are you ready to do some activities, storytelling? Before we begin, I would like to ask you if you have ever done storytelling in the classroom. Yes, yes. Okay. Very good. I'm so happy that you have used storytelling. Pretty much, yes. Chain storytelling. I would like to know what chain storytelling is. How do you do that? Sometimes, okay. Okay, I think basically Irina taught us, so that's good. Comics as well. Okay, great. So I would like to share my screen once again. And then we will continue with our first exercise for today. Until I share my screen, Irina, could you please help me divide the class into 3 groups, please?
Any instructions are needed before breaking out rooms?
I couldn't hear you, sorry.
Any instructions before we go to the rooms?
No, nothing, just, and I will share my screen so they will have the.
If they go to the room, they cannot see your screen.
Really? Oh, okay. Okay, I think we can do it like this as well. Okay, so have you heard of the magic mirror from fairy tales?
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the
Yes.
prettiest of them all?
Exactly. Okay, so I'm sorry that I forgot to inform you earlier, but for this activity you will need to have a pen and paper in front of you. I apologize, but it skipped my mind. If you have it, then we can continue. So the magic mirror. What the purpose of the magic mirror is that you basically, just a minute. Okay, so you basically get a piece of paper in front of you and then you draw an event. So the magic mirror is, let's say, useful because you can go back to the past, to the future, or to the present. And what you do is you just draw whatever event that you can think of that is related to you. And while drawing it, think of the questions. Who was there? So who were you with? Where were you? When did it happen? Why were you there? When did it happen? Oh, why did it happen? So there's a typo, I'm sorry. Why did it happen? How did you feel? And what did you do? So what solution or what ending did you give to the event, to the story? After you do this, the magic mirror comes up to your face, so you do not have to show your faces. You just put it on like this, put it in front of you, and then you will share the story. You will do, let's say, a quick storytelling. It's also okay if you want to improvise because I know that it's a short session. So the instructions for you now are that you need to draw a picture and try to answer at least 3 or 4 questions from the slide. Can you do that?
Picture about what?
A picture of an event, either of the past, the present, or the future, because that's the purpose of the magic mirror, is that you can travel to the past, to the future, or also stay here right now in the present. While you do so, try to think of who was there, where were you, when did it happen, why were you there, I will also do it with you. We have 10 minutes in total for this activity. So three minutes to draw. If you have questions in the meantime, feel free to ask me. not a very good drawer myself, so do not worry about your drawing skills. Future Buckingham. That's very good. Are you ready? Now, whoever wants to present will have to keep, remember, we'll have to keep their drawings in front of them and share the event or the story. This is my drawing. This was supposed to be a crocodile, but because I don't know how to draw it, I just drew it as my imagination went. So, okay, who wants to start and share their story? I would like to hear your stories. Or should I go on with mine?
May I?
Yes, of course.
So you can see this is the Buckingham Palace, and I decided to visit it in the far, far future. When I came there was no one there. All the rooms were empty, and it was flooded. So you can see there is a lot of water. I was very disappointed because it was empty. No queen, no servants, no one. So I decided to take a boat and just sail through all the corridors and explore it, because it was my dream to visit Buckingham Palace, but it looked differently from what I have imagined.
That's very good. Thank you for sharing, Rina. Okay, so I saw Maria raising her hand. If you want to present, then go ahead. One more volunteer, and then we will move on to the next activity. Any volunteers?
Can I speak?
Okay, I don't know who spoke, so go on.
So, it was a nice day at the beginning of March, of course, before the quarantine. I was on a picturesque lawn in a wonderful wood.
Okay.
I was there with my family, and we were picking snowdrops. I felt excellent, breathing fresh, clean spring air and smelling those wonderful white flowers. This is all.
Oh, thank you. It was short, but it was cute. Thank you very much. Okay, so this was a short activity. You can also make it longer for your students. And you can also have, let's say, imaginary events. So do not worry about it. Just take a paper and draw it. Okay, so the second activity includes a website, technology. So I will open it for you.
Can you copy the link in the chat?
Please. Yes. Okay, so this is the link. Please open it.
Error establishing a database connection. Doesn't work to me.
Have you all opened it?
Some kind of error.
Yeah, there is an error here.
Okay, let me check.
Yeah.
Try it now. Okay, I have it, some say it's working, some say it's not. Try it and let me know. It works. Okay, good. No. Okay. Yes, no. Okay, maybe we can do it like this. I will share my screen. We will choose a story together. Okay, it works. Okay, no, some say it doesn't. I don't know why. Okay, so this is the website. freekidsbooks.org, and then you choose wordless stories. You have wordless stories. So a wordless story is basically a story with pictures only and different events that you can see. And then you just open one. I just opened the first one. Okay, so you have the images. You can also download this for free. What I like to do is I download them, print them, and then I give it to my students to create their own stories. I usually pick 1 or 2 stories in order to like have a different story within the classroom, even though they all, let's say I divide my students in groups, they create their own stories within the group. So I usually have 4 groups. 2 groups have the same, I don't know why it stopped working. I'm sorry, guys.
Error. Again, error.
Okay, so you just click on download for free, or you can also read it online. I just printed. This is what I was supposed to do with you today. So I would just give you I would just give you the website in order for you to have like different choices. You could pick 1 or 2 of the stories. You would, let's say, add text to it. I usually use, I don't know why, I think it's my internet, so I don't know, because it has worked before. Okay, it's good. So this is the story. These are the pictures. You add text to it. I usually use Microsoft Word now because of my online classes. I add text to it, and then I have my students tell the story, or I tell the story myself. So it depends. And then we do, let's say we focus on a grammatical topic, or let's say vocabulary or different skills, and then we do it based on the topic. Okay. So would you like to try it? Would you like to try any of the stories? The ones that can open the link, maybe you can try it. Let's do some improvising, or I can share a story and maybe you can, let's say, try and, okay, let me use this one. So I will share this with you, and you can create your own stories. Have you ever used this website, this form of storytelling? Okay. Okay, so I will make it smaller, maybe. So the story is called The Birthday Party. So what you have to do, maybe if I share the link like this, maybe you can also I have not used Zoom before with my students, so
Do you know if we can search through the website?
yes, of course, if you can open it, then yes. If not, if you can also check if you can open this link, and then we will do the story on this one. It's not working again.
You can share your screen and we will try to improvise.
Yes. Okay. So this is the story. Let me just do this. Okay, I will go through it for you once, and then so you can take a look at what you think it is about. We have a boy, he's open presents. Okay. So that's it. Do you think you can write a story on it? Create your own stories. You can also start immediately without taking notes, or I can also give you a few minutes. I will also scroll up and down in the meantime for you to see. So, okay, I will give you 2 minutes. It's okay if you don't follow all the pictures, if you don't add something to all the pictures because of the circumstances. So we'll just start it here by the end. Okay, ready? You think you can do storytelling? Any volunteers, or can I pick?
I can try.
Okay, yes, why not? Thank you.
So it was my birthday party and I was turning 4 years old. I made a wish. I wanted to have a baby brother with whom I could play around the house. But instead, I got lots of boxes, wrapped gifts with different toys and gadgets and devices. One of them was a photo camera. I took it and started taking pictures around the house. What I saw through the lenses of my camera was a real mess. Exhausted mother, piles of dishes, a litter on the floor. And I started thinking, how can I help? I approached my mother and she said that I could take a mop and wash the floor and help her because the most precious gift, she has it for me. So I started helping her around the house, cleaning the kitchen, um, arranging the plates in the right places. And when everything was done, we took a picture for our family album to show it to my future brother.
Oh, that's so cute. Thank you very much, Rina. I really enjoyed it. Thank you. Anybody else? I would also like to hear it from you, from the rest. As I said, it's okay if you do not include all the pictures, all the events. One more volunteer. Maybe I can pick. Okay, Igor Gutu. I'm sorry if I did not pronounce the name well. Igor Gutu. Igor, are you here? Okay, I'll find somebody else.
Maybe you can tell us your story.
Yes, why not?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So once upon a time, it was my birthday. I was 6 years old, and I invited all my friends around me. However, my dad was not there, only my mom. He was on a mission, so I did not think of it much because I thought that he would come home soon, especially for my birthday. However, he didn't. But once I was going through my gifts, I could see a little sign saying, "From Dad." Wow, it got me thinking. Did he really come until here to give it? Or was he just playing with me? But as I approached it, I saw a camera inside the box. And while I was going through the camera, I could see some selfies of my dad. He put some happy birthday signs in his room and was saying happy birthday to me. I went out to tell my mom. However, I saw her crying in the kitchen. I wanted to take a picture of it and send it to Dad and tell him that we miss him a lot. However, I didn't. I thought of doing something even better. I got close to my mom, and when I saw her crying, I started crying too. But I told her that everything will be all right and we can do something to send it to Dad as well. So I started helping my mom. We started doing the dishes, cleaning the floor, and arranging everything into its place. And lastly, we decided to take a picture. I sent it to my dad, and he thought that it was a pretty good picture and that he would pin it to his wall. The end. Okay, guys, I hope you liked it. We don't have a lot of minutes left, so I will stop sharing my screen. I will give you, let's say, the resources that I use, the sources that I use. Sorry. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. This is my email down in the slide. Once they share the presentation, you can also email me if you have any questions, if you need help with anything, if you need feedback on storytelling or how to start with storytelling. I would be willing to share everything I know about it with you. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for being part of the last session. I hope you enjoyed all the sessions until now, and that you learned something new. So if you have anything to add, thank you very much. It was a pleasure being here, and thank you, Meta, for having me.
Thank you, Rina. We have some questions in the chat group. How do you make students listen to each other's stories attentively?
Okay, thank you for the question. So what I usually do is that I try either to make my students, let's say, listen because I give them extra credit, or I try to have students, like, if you listen, especially with young learners, I know that they like to move around the classroom a lot. So I just tell them that if you listen to him, then you will have, let's say, a minute or two to think of your own story and to take the characters as well, because sometimes I do not allow them to touch the characters because these are the only ones that I have and I cannot find other ones. So I try to let them play with them or have them create their own stories. So I try to give space to each student in order to try to storytell. And then if they listen to each other, they can also get their chance.
Thank you. Another question is, how often do you use storytelling in the classroom?
I try to use it especially with grammatical topics, because those are the only, let's say, the hardest ones for my students to focus on and to let's say follow the structure of them. So by using storytelling, whenever I use the characters, they know that a topic of grammar is coming soon. And no, so I would say every third class, second or third class, depends on the topic that I'm teaching. However, I usually use it with grammatical topics.
Do you have students of different levels? How do you handle them?
Yes, of course. What I like to do is I put them into stations. I don't know if you have, of course, I believe that most of you have already used stations. So I just put them into stations, different stations, and I like to do differentiation. So I put them, I give 2 or 3, let's say, different activities, some harder ones for the higher achievers, some easier ones for the lower achievers, and I combine students in the classroom, and then like the higher achievers try to motivate the lower achievers to speak. So I use stations with my students a lot.
Mm-hmm. Did you make the characters yourself or did you buy them?
Actually, no, they came with a book that we use in schools. While I was teaching in a private language school, so I just took them. I asked for permission because they weren't using them. So I decided to take it with me. However, other teachers around the classroom have already photocopied them, but you can also find printables online. Just use like, let's say, a thicker paper when you print it, and then you can have them as well.
What is your reaction when some pupils try to correct the colleague's story?
This happens often. This happens often to my students. However, I try to make it clear from the beginning that even I, as a teacher, sometimes make mistakes, and they try to laugh, and I laugh it off with them as well. However, I try to make them aware that it is not, let's say, appropriate to laugh, and that when they come in front of the whiteboard, it's a whole different situation, and they may also feel like, let's say, more embarrassed to speak or more reluctant to speak. So I try to make it as a rule that they should not laugh at each other.
And then we have a suggestion from Rodika that students may record stories using wakaru.com online recording if we do not manage to listen to everyone in class.
Oh, that's very good. Thank you very much for sharing it.
Thank you. Thank you, Rina.
Thank you. I will stop sharing my screen.
Okay, and we are waiting for Larissa to share the feedback. And if you have your hats, we can put them on, and you could share some closing remarks. What are you thankful for, grateful for,